Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Sisternomics. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sisternomics. My name is Monique Caradine Kitchens. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm really excited because today is going to be a really great, timely conversation for me anyway, and I think that you're going to get a lot out of it too. This is Sisternomics. This is your place if you are really interested in learning about how to make more money, save more money, build a legacy of wealth, and create your own economy. Well, if that's you, you're in the right place because that's what we talk about here. And what do I mean by creating your own economy? Well, that's basically creating the type of income that is on your terms, creating the type of lifestyle that you can live comfortably on your terms, not based on what anybody else in the world has to say about it. This is your life, sis, right? So you get to live it on your terms. And that's what I'm really excited about today. But I got to start by telling you a hard truth. And that truth is that we've been lied to. I mean, quite frankly, to put it bluntly, we have been lied to. And I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but in this country, in this culture that we live in, we have been told that we have to work our fingers to the bone from sun up to sundown until we get into our golden years. And what's an even harsher truth is the fact that most of us have bought into it. Just the other day, I posted something on one of my social media platforms about the fact that I have literally worked a job since the age of 14 years old and worked pretty consistently since then. So that's about 35 years. Now, most people, they work a job 25, 30 years, they retired. I've been working 35 years, and so many people chimed in on that very same post saying the same thing. I've been working since I was 15, 14, 16. Victoria even chimed in and said she has worked since the age of 5 in one of her family businesses. So I don't know about you, but I am ready to live life on my own terms. I'm ready to debunk that myth and really adopt a lifestyle that goes completely against what we've been told, completely against what this country has ingrained in us, and begin to understand that there is life for us outside of our work. So many of us have our entire identity tied up in what it is we do for a living. Well, today I'm excited. I think that for some of you, you're going to be set free from that old way of thinking. If it doesn't work for you, sis, today is the day where you will get the permission and the steps if you want to live a different life. And I'm really excited to have with me today to discuss this, Stephanie Perry. Now, if you don't know Stephanie, she has a huge following. You may know her, so I'm going to introduce her to some and present her to others. But Stephanie Perry is the creator of House Sitter School. And she's really become the leader of this movement where she is showing Black women how to take a sabbatical or an adult gap year. Stephanie, you about to set so many people free today. Welcome to Sisternomics.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Welcome. Hi, friends. Nice to meet you all or see you all. I totally understand what you're saying when you're saying that you have worked since you were 14. I am a person who has taken breaks from work. I am a serial job quitter. So I hope that I can recruit some of us who have been, some of you guys who have been working consistently your entire adult life and before, right? I'm here to recruit you to my side. Okay.
Yes. I'm right there with you. I'm personally, and I don't know if anybody can relate to this either, but I'm personally in that season of life where there's a lot of transition. My son is about to go off to school, so we're about to be empty nesters. We're about to move, as I mentioned to you before we went on live, to a different city. So there's this space that we're in where it's like, okay, what does the next actually look like? And I've come to accept the fact that it doesn't need to be filled with so much work.
That's right.
And you are a living example of that. You quit your job at the age of 41 and you took an adult gap year. Can we talk about that? Take us to the moment, the day, the hour where you decided, okay, I'm leaving this job and I'm going to go and travel for an entire year and just see what unfolds for me.
I worked a job in a hospital where it was easier to quit my job and travel and come back and get rehired than it was to get approved for a 1-week vacation. I put in vacation request after vacation request. I would ask for 5 days. They would give me 3 days and not consecutive days, right? And then if you want to take this trip, you're going to have to find somebody to work for you. You're going to have to trade shifts and all this rigmarole for things to take the vacation time that I had earned, right? I'm not asking for any advance time or anything. This is time that I've earned. And then I took one of those vacations. It was my 40th birthday. I went to Brazil. It was during the World Cup, so there were a lot of other tourists and travelers there. And I met a bunch of young American travelers. I was 41. These were people in their late 20s, even or younger, mid 20s. And they were there for weeks and months. And I'm like, they're staying in the same place I'm staying. So they're not rich kids, right? So how are you doing this? And that's when they sat me down and they were like, you can quit your job and travel on savings, and then you can come back to work. And immediately I was like, done. Okay, say no more. Say no more. Yeah, I already knew that I didn't want my entire adult life to be focused on work, to center around work. I did know that, but I didn't know that it was possible, right? I knew that I wanted to have a life and not have to wait for retirement. Waiting until your retirement age to start living is a scam. It's a trick of the enemy. It's not how it's supposed to be. Right. It's just how we're told it has to be. And I just needed somebody to introduce me to a new way.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened for you. That's exciting. All my life, I thought that sabbaticals were just for college professors, tenured professors at that. And I was coming back from a retreat, and I'll never forget the day I met a woman who sat right next to me on the plane, and we started chit-chatting, and she was telling me that was her first day on sabbatical. She had decided to leave her high-level job as a C-level executive at a major corporation for 15 months. And she was going to travel the world. Same thing you did. And I was fascinated by it. Now, lo and behold, turns out we lived in the same community here in Puerto Rico, and we became friends. And I literally followed her on her journey. She went to, Spain. She was in Ireland. She was all over the world. And I was just always fascinated. In fact, I think I may attach some of that interview. She let me interview her to this interview after you and I talk. But it was just fascinating to me. Now, she was an African-American. And then I came across you and I was like, wow, there are sisters. You're leading this movement of sisters that are doing this. So it makes it even more relatable. It makes it even more possible for us, those of us who've been working since we were 14, to do it because we see you doing it. Mm-hmm. Did it take courage, though, Stephanie, for you to be able to say, okay, I'm going to do this?
It did. Sure, right? But courage isn't something that you have or don't have, right? Courage is just the step after fear, right? So you feel fear and then you do it. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid to do it. I was terrified, right? I'm going to places that I've never been. I didn't speak the language. I'm leaving everything and everybody I know. My mom, if I hadn't been nervous before, my mom did everything she could to work me up. Bless her heart. She was scared to death, scared out of her mind. So yes, it took courage, but courage is not something that you, people would always say, oh, that's so brave of you. But there's nothing different in me except that I'm okay with doing things even when I'm afraid. Right. So courage is just the step after feeling that fear. Right. So yes, it took courage, but it also took me knowing other Black women who were doing it, which is why I speak so much. I'm not the leader of a movement. I appreciate that, but I am a part of the movement. I'm so glad to be a part of this movement. It is a movement. You're right. And I'm so glad to be a part of it. But there were other Black women sharing what they were doing. They were just doing it a little more privately. I'm a little less private about things. Black women in particular get told that if we do things out of the box, we just need to keep it to ourselves. Just keep it to yourselves. Don't tell people because you're going to hear some backlash. because we're expected to stay in a specific path. So there's one path to Black excellence, and if you get off of that path, you're going to hear about it. So I had Black women who I could look to as examples in like groups that I was in, Facebook travel groups and things that I was in. So I knew that it was possible, and I knew that other people were doing it. That was the difference. So it wasn't just the courage; it was the examples, the community. The Google, right? Having Google is a wonderful privilege.
Right.
So I didn't have to go, I've never bought a travel guidebook, right? Anything that I needed, I could Google it. Those were the things that made it more easy. And that's why I continue to talk about it, because if somebody's just sharing the word with me, I'm sharing the word with whoever I can, anywhere, anytime I can.
Yeah, this is great. So again, my guest is Stephanie Perry, and she is with Vicarious, and we'll make sure you get all of her contact information before we wrap up today. But she has decided to enjoy fun employment, as you put it. I love that. Fun employment, not unemployment, sis. This is fun employment where you can travel the world, take a break from work if you desire, take a year off, take 15 months off, take 3 months off. It doesn't have to be a year, right? But understand that there are cultures all around the world where people do get more than, 7 to 14 days off for vacation per year. And given the fact that we tend to work super, super hard in this country, most of the women I know, Stephanie, I know probably the same as for you, sisters work their tails off and should not feel bad about taking a break.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Hard work is not your purpose. All right. I don't know what your purpose is. That's not what I came here to. I just came here to tell you it's not hard work. Whatever your purpose is, if you feel like there's some great calling for you, you're not going to get there being exhausted. You're not going to get there being burnt out,
right?
Just barely holding on, not sleeping very much, tired.
Listen, honey, let me tell you something, okay? There's sisters out here working jobs in toxic situations, feeling like they have to continue on in the midst of being tired, being sick, working through grief, working through loss, and still feeling like you have to go to work. Because if you don't have this job, oh my God, the world is going to end. And that is not the case. There is life outside of work. You, my beautiful sister, are not your work. And so today, again, I want us to really explore this. Stephanie is here. We do have some questions. I do want to get to those. If you have any questions or comments for Stephanie, please drop them in the comments and we will get to them. Talk to us as I go and look at some questions, Stephanie. So you came back from Brazil for your 41st birthday, and you heard, talk to these people that say, hey, yeah, you can travel and you can work from the road, or you can travel for months or weeks or whatever. So you came back home, and what happened? Tell me about quitting the job and then planning your year sabbatical.
Yeah, I looked around at where I could go on a budget. Budget travelers have this figure of $40 per day. $40 per day is a pretty standard number where that you can travel in a lot of the world on $40 per day, especially Southeast Asia, especially Mexico and Central and South America, some parts of South America, even some parts of Europe. So I started looking, where can I go on $40 a day? And I wanted to go to Asia because I knew that it was going to be really hard to get to Asia once I came back and went back to work. Right? Because it's taking 2 days to get there and 2 days to get back, and I can only get approved for three days of vacation. So I focused on Asia, and then I started looking at where can I get this money? If I want to be gone for a year, if I need to be gone for a year and I want to save $14,400, how do I do that? $14,400 is $40 a day for 1 year, right? We're not talking about, you need trust fund inheritance money. You can, a lot of us can do that, especially Black women who are super educated and, have
resourceful
and have achieved, right? So then I started looking at how can I get this money? For me, it was mostly working overtime and then doing the things that I always roll my eyes out when people are like, cook your own meals. Okay.
Lo and behold, you got to cook your own meals, Stephanie. Like what?
I hate that advice. I don't know why. It just but it works, right? It works.
Yeah.
a lot of the money that I spent, a lot of that $14,000 was money that I was normally spending eating out, right?
Yeah.
Instead, I started cooking my own meals and packing my lunch, and boom, next thing I know, 15 months later, I have the money to go for 1 full year without working.
That just makes my heart leap. Like, I love it. I love, I'm a little bit of a money nerd. So I love the fact that you exercise the level of discipline and focus with money, not going out of your way, not breaking your back, but just making minor modifications to how you are using your money. That is so important and so inspiring. Yes. And then I also love that you looked out. What planning tool did you use? Did you use your Google Calendar? Did you have a vision board? What did you use to actually do the planning of the trip?
I used a whiteboard and a notebook. So I'm really hands-on. I tried digital planners. I'm trying Notion and, but I really like a notebook and a whiteboard. So I had the big stuff on the whiteboard every month, like here's where I want to be in. I think I started in July, right? So here's where I want to be by August, and then by September, October,
Nice. Mm-hmm.
Plus a notebook to track money things. I think I had 6 or 7 categories where the money was going to come from, right? Overtime, and then money, and then cutting out DirecTV, because this was back in 2014 when I still was paying for DirecTV, boom, my leave bill, I didn't even know. I thought I was paying $60 some a month. I was paying like $95 a month. I didn't even know, like some of my stuff, I didn't even know what I was paying, right? I was just
No, that's huge. The fact that there's so many money leaks that we are unaware of, that just simply by cutting out a few things, you could easily, like today, if you go through and you look at your bank statement, you can probably cut out $100 per month worth of expenses that you weren't even really fully aware of, that you can put towards your savings for your gap year. That's right. I love it. Mm-hmm.
That's right. So that as far as tools for saving, that was pretty much it. And then I had a separate account, and I just used some of my favorite planning resources, like travel resources. Momondo.com is a great flight search resource. I started staying in hostels for part of my trip. So I looked at Hostel World to see what those accommodations were like. Okay. In a lot of Southeast Asia, for $16 a day, you can get a hotel room, like you can get an individual room. But sometimes I wanted to stay in guest houses and hostels to meet people, just to hang out and meet people. And because it's budget friendly.
Right. So can you talk a little bit about hostels versus guest houses and hotels? Because, there may be some people watching right now that's like, oh, hostels, I don't know. Like, what's the difference from your experience?
There's a lot of overlap nowadays. So you will find hotels that have dorm rooms, right? You'll find hotels where they have individual rooms and then they have some dorm rooms. When I'm talking hostels, I just mean a place that is designed for travelers to share space. Whether it's the bedroom, right? Whether it's a dorm set up in the bedroom, or even if they have an individual room, right? Because there are hostels with private rooms. You may be sharing a bathroom or sharing the kitchen. One of the wonderful benefits of staying in a hostel, especially if you're on a budget, is that you get a kitchen. So you don't have to go out for breakfast every day. You can have, coffee, and you can buy whatever you want, buy eggs and keep your eggs in the refrigerator and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Hostels, I know, seem scary and strange to some people, but in a lot of the world, it's perfectly normal. They grew up staying in hostels, and it's not uncommon to find adults in hostels. We tend to think of them as for 18-year-old partiers.
Right.
But it's not. That's not how the world sees them, right? It's just a place with shared accommodation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And nowadays, there's a lot of overlap. So you'll see hotels that might have some dorm rooms in them, or guest houses.
So a lot of people watching, listening right now. Hello to all of you. Maria, Larvetta, miss you too, Larvetta. We need to reconnect. A bunch of people. I'm going to get to the questions in just a second. But here's one thing that I want to know, because of so many of us have worked for so long. Many people watching are entrepreneurs. So we got that extra hustle, right? And to completely disconnect and not work for a year, it may take us a minute, Stephanie, to really like wrap our brains around that. When you were on your first gap year, did you just not work at all, or did you do a little take your laptop along with you and do a little something?
I didn't work at all, not an hour, not 1 hour for that year.
Again,
1 hour? Not an hour. I was a pharmacy technician, so there's nothing, right? Once I quit my job, there's no work to do. But no, we're not used to being, we're not used to free time. It's so important. I didn't take a sabbatical. I didn't quit my job to find myself, right? I didn't know that there was something missing, so I wasn't looking. But man, I'm telling you, once you have a lot of free time, you get to know yourself like never before, When you're committed to working, when your focus of your life is work, the focus of your life is work, right? You don't really know things. What are you interested in? Who could you be? One time when I talked about going to Brazil, I asked my cousin Denise if she wanted to go, and she said, who would I be in Brazil? And I was like, no, you can't go. Never mind, Denise. Never mind. But that's a real question. Like, who are you when you're in a new place? Who are you outside of your responsibilities? Who are you outside of your work? It's something that we don't get to find out until we're 65, 75, if then.
Oh my God.
It's really wonderful to have that time when you're able, when you're young, when you're in the prime of your life.
Right. I found myself when you were talking, just tearing up just a little bit. And I'm gonna tell you why, because when you ask that question, who are you when you're not working? Like, I don't know. Now, I have had the pleasure and the honor. My family and I, we've traveled around the world. You know, in the summers, we take road trips. We've been to the 48 states and we've gone here internationally, here and there. But Stephanie, I always have my laptop.
Yeah.
Always. And whenever there's a moment of downtime, I'm sending an email or checking email or checking in with some clients or doing this or doing that. Like, I literally don't understand what it means to not, for a year, like, I'm having a panic attack right now because I'm like, well, I should be writing or I should be blogging or I should be vlogging. But you did none of that.
None of that. It's not your fault that you don't take that time. We're told not to, right? We're told always be grinding, right? But we're not machines. We're not made to grind. In the Bible, right? In the Bible, any holy book you read, they took time off, right? Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy, right? Take some time. You need some downtime. So this is not, I'm not inventing a new concept, right? It's just it might be new to this country. It might be new to America.
It is. It is. It's just like I said, we have been lied to. We bought into the lie. We think that we're supposed to work, oftentimes even on vacation. I found myself when my son was enjoying his prom and graduation activities, apologizing to clients because, I can't be here because my son is graduating. Like, I shouldn't have to apologize for that. I should be able to take a break. Okay. So thank you for this, helping us to create this shift. Thank you. Thank you. I moved to Puerto Rico. My family and I moved here so that we can have a little less stress. And we have that. Good. But I've been working since 14. You can't, how do I stop that? How do I unravel all of that? But I'm willing to learn.
There is messaging, particularly for Black women. There is messaging that our value is in what we do, not in being. Right. Yes. So find some people who you see who find value in themselves just for being, right? There are people out there, men, for example, right? There are people who know that they are valuable just because they are, not because of what they do, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a house sitter. I don't feel any less valuable than an MD, right? I don't feel any less valuable when I'm not house sitting, when I'm literally doing nothing. House sitting, there are some responsibilities, right? I have about half an hour a day of work, right? But there are times when I have nothing to do, no work to do.
Half an hour a day. Did you just say half an hour a day of work?
I have to walk the dogs and feed the dogs. That's pretty much it. So, but seriously, look at people who are feeling valuable without having to produce, without having to do. That's fruit of the slavery tree. It really is. The message that you have to produce to be valuable is because this country was built on a foundation of slavery. When you spend in Puerto Rico, you're not going to find probably a whole lot different messaging there, right? But go to I don't know, the Philippines, right? Go to the Philippines and see how people really don't care about work, right? Go to Germany or go anywhere in the world and you will meet Germans because they have dedicated a large portion of their life to not work, whatever it is, right? Germans love to travel. Germans love to just be, right?
Wow.
Dedicated a port. Go someplace where you see people not working and not caring about work and not talking about work and they're at dinner. And
Yeah.
you can unlearn, right? But
Yes.
no, if you're a woman who feels like you have to work all the time, it's not your fault. Right? That's the messaging, right? We have been raised to feel this way. It's not your fault, and it's probably not something you're going to be easily able to walk away from. I've seen women really, really struggle with it. Women who have the means, right? They got the money to go. They know where to go. They got the passport, but they just can't see a way of existing if they're not working.
So I want to ask those of you watching right now, how many of you are ready to unlearn and create more space in your life, more freedom in your life, more ease in your life, less work in your life? How many of you are literally ready to do that? Share this out if you know anyone who can benefit from this message. Stephanie Perry is my guest. She is the creator of House Sitter School, and her website is vicarious.com. She's really just been sharing this message with women around the world to help us unlearn all of those things that we have learned so that we can create space in our life. I'll never forget when I first moved here, Stephanie, I got a little office in the plaza near my home where they have the restaurants and other people have offices, and it's just the center of the community here. And I would go to work, go into my office, like I would get there 10. So I gave myself a little bit more, leeway. And I'll never forget the first time a good friend of ours, a gentleman who helped us get our home here, as a matter of fact, at lunchtime, his office was in the same plaza. He had a little bistro table sitting outside of his office with 2 chairs, really cute. And I'll never forget, I saw him outside his office, Stephanie, at lunchtime. Now he's Dominican, Puerto Rican. Okay. He was drinking a glass of red wine at lunchtime. I'm like, who drinks red wine at lunchtime? How dare he? How is he going to get back to work? He's supposed to be a respected person in the community, and he's drinking wine at lunchtime in front of his office. Oh my God, it was blasphemous. But to your point, in this culture and in so many, people relax. They take a break. Wine is a part of the meal. Yes. And it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, I did learn to enjoy wine eventually. It took me a minute, but I did learn to give myself permission to do things like take an extra hour for lunch or take off after lunch. It's no big deal, but I want more.
Yes, because you want these small things that we do that we count in the self-care box. Yes, these small things are maintenance, but they're not going to get us to a new level. Mm-hmm. If you want to get to a new level in your life where you feel free from work, right? The small things, the taking a little time, taking a longer lunch, getting a pedicure in the middle of the day, right? They feel good and they're helpful, but they're not going to free you from the chains of feeling like you have to work to be valuable.
Yeah. All right, let's take some comments and questions here. Feel free to drop yours in the comment section. Stephanie Perry is my guest. Larvetta says, I feel bad and apologize for not being present because I've been caring for my mom as she recovers from surgery. Oh, that's a stage of life too. That's important. We're becoming caregivers as we decide to leave work. Larvetta says it's hard because I should be able to take a break to do it. She should be able to take a break from work
care for her mom,
to be able to care for her mom.
Right. Instead, we're told do it all. Do it all. Yes. Care for your mother, work full time, go to school, take care of the kids, take care of the house, keep yourself looking great, right? Do all of these things. And then maybe we'll celebrate you at your funeral. When you drop from exhaustion, we'll have a beautiful program for you at your funeral.
Oh my God. Wow. It's just unbelievable. Y'all ready to unlearn? Are you ready to raise your hand if you're ready to unlearn? All right, this is a comment from Bert. He says, they have us out here doubting ourselves. If we don't have 15 jobs, raise kids, have a husband, raise our nieces and nephews, be in church and be on the committee and the board and the usher board and the deacon board and every other board you can be on.
That's right. Don't let people run your day. Yes, that's right. Yeah, there's a lot to unlearn. There's a lot of that messaging is pervasive. It's pervasive. But the good news is there are people on your side, right? There are people who you can say, I'm going to take a break, and they'll be like, yes, do it. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that from you. People who will surprise you, right? Sometimes you think like your parents will be like, don't do it. You're going to ruin your future. Instead, right. Your parents are like, I'm so thankful, right? Do it now. Do it. You need it. Yeah. Your therapist probably wants you to take a break. Your doctor, your MD probably wants you to take a break. Mm-hmm. There are people on your side. So take in info that is feeding you. Feed yourself the information that you want. Stop feeding yourself the hustle grind mentality. Cut it out of your diet. Cut it out. I don't listen to it. Nobody ever says the words to me, hustle and grind, in my regular everyday life. And I know that's probably uncommon because that's what we're told. You know, that's how you live. That's how you accomplish anything. You have to hustle and grind to accomplish anything.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that you said that you are a house sitter. That's what you do.
That's what I do.
You don't feel any less valuable than someone who is a physician. And I think that is another, I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but that's another thing for me. It's like the title that we have, you know, the pedigree, the professional pedigree that we come from mm-hmm. is so important that you want to be able to say, well, I'm a this or I'm a that. Mm-hmm. Because again, our work is tied into our identity, but you've also been able to separate yourself from that, going from being a pharmacy technician, right?
Right.
To now you're a house sitter, and like there's no, like you like it's just like past the salt. Like you didn't study, you didn't be like, well, I'm a house sitter. It's like I'm a house sitter.
No, that's right. So the idea of Black excellence, right? There are things that we know that we need to be held up as an example of Black excellence, right? Advanced degrees, real estate ownership, you know, maybe a business or a book or something, you know, to be held up in. But there is a direct relationship between the idea of Black excellence and slavery, right? So the idea of Black excellence came out of like the Jim Crow era. Mm-hmm. We had to find find a way to overachieve in order to just be viewed as a human being worthy of being treated with dignity and respect. Mm-hmm. I think carrying the mantle of Black excellence is carrying on the idea of white supremacy being a right way to live. I think if you're saying that you need these things, I'm sorry to say this, if you're saying that a Black woman needs these things to be treated as a valuable person, then you are upholding white supremacy. And I think if you want to reject that, then wow. Black excellence, reject it, right? The house sitter, the housekeeper is no less worthy of a person and no less worthy of being treated with dignity and respect than the MD, than the professor, than the attorney. I see a direct relationship between those two things, between Black excellence, the idea, the need for it, and our struggle trying to overcome after slavery and during Jim Crow. You can reject that. You can reject it. It's hard to reject in the United States, which is why I recommend you take a break in another country, go abroad. It's really hard to reject here because the messaging is just all around. But just go away. Like seriously, leave, go to another country. It's going to be cheaper. You can pick the weather you want, and people will treat you as a human being and not as a Black woman who is responsible for their happiness or their whatever, right? Even people come onto my YouTube channel and expect me to help them. Right, I'm talking, my channel, I specifically say I help Black women, right? And they'll be like, but I'm married to a Black man, or I'm a white woman, or I'm a white man. Can you help me? I'm like, no. No. I know you're used to Black women doing your labor, but no.
Stephanie ain't playing no games out here in these.
We're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. Black women are taking control of our own peace of mind.
Yeah.
It's time for that. When I signed up for that, right?
Yeah.
If you call me the leader of something, call me the leader of my own peace of mind, right? Now, no longer taking other people's no longer taking responsibility for other people's lives and their happiness and their whatever.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is really good. Conchetta says, what a timely message for me today. Thank you so much. And April's question is a good one. She says, Stephanie, how did you stay motivated during the time that you were saving up for your trip?
Good question, April. It took me 15 months. And because I had the whiteboard and I could see the progress, I knew that I was on my way. I believe in tracking progress. I believe in looking back. So you hear a lot of people saying, don't look in the rear view mirror. You're not going that way. But I do believe in looking back, like saying, when I started this in July, I had $200 towards this trip. Now it's November and I have $6,000 towards this trip or whatever. I like to look back at my progress. And then, there's just that idea of being a short timer. A lot of us don't know that, or a lot of you guys may not know the feeling of being a short timer because you've never quit, right? Having quit many jobs, I can tell you, it feels so good when you have an end date. Once you know that finish line, it's easier to go to work. It was even easier to do overtime. I did overtime. I think half of my money came from cutting back on things and half of the money for the trip came from doing overtime. And it became easier just to go into work. Right. Yeah. Once you have that deadline, all things are possible.
All things are possible. And the reality is that what you did basically, just to put it in a nutshell, is you set a goal. Yes. And you decided that you getting to that goal was more important than what you might be missing out on by cutting back on things, by cooking your own meals, by working a little extra, hours to meet that goal. So I would say to April, if you get a goal and you're clear about it and you have the courage to commit to the goal, no matter what people might think or say, because I know people called you crazy for telling you when you told them you were going to take off an entire year, but you were still committed to the goal, right? And so did you run into that? People saying, girl, you crazy. What are you doing? What are you thinking?
For the sake, just out of fear. There's a lot of messaging in the United States that we're safe and other people are dangerous and other countries are dangerous. So there was a lot of fear, especially when I started talking about the specific countries I'm going to. I'm going to Vietnam. I'm going to Cambodia, right? There's a lot of talk about, how dangerous other places are. That's just because people don't know, right? But nowadays with YouTube, everyone is sharing what their experiences are like, and you can see a better picture of how awesome these places actually are for travelers. So I did run into that, right? I did run into some fear talk only about the safety. I didn't run it. So if you're the kind of person who's going to quit your job, and do what you want for a few months or for a year or whatever, you've probably done something in the past that people know that you're that type. Right?
Exactly.
You left for Puerto Rico. I would guess that nobody was super shocked, right? Because you are the type you do what you want. Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of that kind of objection. And the safety objections were just because people didn't know what I knew. They didn't know what I knew about Vietnam. They hadn't been watching YouTube videos for years and years and dreaming about going to Vietnam like I had.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so that answers the safety concerns question.
Yeah, the world is super safe. I would ask you where you live. Like, seriously, where do you live? A lot of the world is so much safer than we know. If you live in any major metropolitan area in the United States, you're safer as soon as you leave the country.
So true.
I don't know that there's any major metropolitan area that you could be in and not be safer in another part of the world. The places that you want to go. Like, you're not going to want to go to a war zone. But the places that you're thinking about going, you want to go to Italy, you want to go to Mexico, you want to go to Portugal, you want to go to Thailand. Exponentially safer. Mm-hmm. You're exponentially safer there than you are at home.
Right. Okay, so let's move into, before we get ready to wrap up, and we do still have time for a couple other questions if you have any questions or comments for Stephanie. But I want to move into, after your first gap year, you came back home, you decided the whole 9 to 5 work life isn't for me. I want to do this full time. How did that space and time, that season of your life work, and how did you get to where you are today?
I came back to Delaware and started applying for jobs again. I applied for the job that I had just quit a year ago and a couple others, and everyone interviewed me and everyone hired me. So if anyone is concerned that taking a year from work will hurt your ability to get a job, as a witness, I can tell you that people admire that. Every interviewer was like, wow, I'm so amazed that you did that. That means that now you have stronger communication skills and you have better problem solving skills, and maybe you have some language skills. Like, they're reading off to me how I am now a better prospective employee because I have taken some time to do something. I have set a goal and I've achieved that goal, right? So I went back, they offered me my job back. I actually went back to a different hospital because by then I already knew that I was going to quit again. And I didn't want to burn the same hospital twice. I started working at another hospital, and then I just started looking around about how can I travel long-term with no money, because now I've spent my savings. I started working as a virtual assistant, and I started house sitting. And I went back to work for 90 days just to get a few paychecks under my belt, and then I left again. House sitting and virtual assistant work supported me for a while, So, and then now I no longer do virtual assistant work. Now I house sit and teach house sitting, coach house sitting, and have a YouTube channel and some things to support myself. But it took me, once I knew that I didn't want to go back to working full time, this took me a few weeks to get things in order so that I could go again and stay long term, because I thought after traveling for a year, I was going to be burned out and ready to go back to work. But after traveling for a year, I was like, I still haven't been here. I still haven't been there. I had traveled for a full year, and I was 42 or 43 by that time, and I'd never been to Mexico still, right? Like, they're our neighbor. I'm like, I can't go back to work yet. There's too many. There's too much of the world I haven't seen. Plus, I had seen people, I had gotten to take my time in countries and see people who don't focus their lives on work. And I knew that, like, there's no way to come back to the US and not do that.
And you spent an extended amount of time over in Mexico, right? I was listening to one of the other programs that you did.
I love Mexico so much. Since I started house sitting, I've been spending 6 months a year in Mexico. I think Mexico is a total package. We overlook it because they're so close and it's not exotic, right? Mexico's not exotic, but there is so much to offer. If you're looking for a good place to retreat, right, to have a sabbatical, it's the total package. Good food, good weather. If you like beaches, or if you like mountains, kind of mountains. If you like jungle stuff, whatever you want. Big cities.
Yeah.
You can get that in Mexico, and the cost of living is so much better than what we're used to, and the people are welcoming, and they let you come for 6 months on a tourist visa without any hesitation. So I'm a big fan of Mexico.
So right now you're currently house sitting full time. Where are you now? Do you have a home base, or do you just?
I'm house sitting right now in Tampa, Florida, in a gorgeous house. Tom Brady lives in this neighborhood, right? This is a beautiful place. Yes.
Tom Brady lives in that neighborhood. Oh my goodness.
It's genius. You can walk to Tom Brady's house from here. I'm telling you, house sitting is genius. I feel like a genius. So I'm house sitting right now. And I'll be house sitting throughout the summer. I have a little house sitting road trip set up in the US. So I'm house sitting for a while. And then, I'm sorry, what did you ask me? I got so excited. When you say the word house sitting, I get excited. I don't even.
So I was just wondering, so you're in Florida, you say right now, and yes. You're going to be house sitting. That's what you do full time. And you're teaching, the money comes from the house sitting as well as teaching people how to house sit.
The money comes from coaching house sitting. Most of my house sits are unpaid. Most of my house sits are for free accommodation. So sometimes I get paid, but most of the time I don't. House sitting is for free accommodation. But when you cut out the need to pay for a place to stay, you're cutting out, the bulk of your expenses.
I thought that background was like one of those virtual backgrounds.
This is the house. This is the pool that I'm gonna spend most of my. You can't see the pool. This is the pool I spend most of my afternoon in. No, this is.
So when you get off this call with me, you like
I'm in the
pool time.
That's why my hair looks like this. I haven't even bothered to do anything to my hair for days. And I'm like, why? I'm getting in the pool. Yes.
Maybe bye.
Most of my, so because I coach house sitting and I have a YouTube channel, that's where most of my income is from a YouTube channel and from coaching.
Nice. Okay. So you want to connect with Stephanie. Don't worry. I'll make sure you have all of her information. But I want to get in one or two more quick comments before we wrap up. PYT says, hi, ladies. I'm an RN and I work from home. I'm not ready to leave my job, but I can work from anywhere. Stephanie, you've inspired me to try house sitting. I love to travel. I've been rejected twice.
Yes.
So is there a way, what does that mean? Is there a way that you do this thing so that you don't get rejected? I'm not sure if I'm clear on that.
There is. So this is something I don't think I've done a good enough job of talking about. You don't get every house sit, right? House sitters get no's. And when you're getting started and you don't have any reviews yet, that's how it is, okay? So to make because you're competing against people like me, right? Who have all these wonderful reviews. So to get started, you need to make sure you get a great letter of reference, at least one. Someone who can say PYT is reliable and she's kind, and that's what she said she's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You need to set alerts, right? If you have specific dates that you want to house sit and or specific locations, set an alert so that anytime a new client lists a house sit that fits that criteria, you get an alert right on your phone. You need to be very early to apply. You need to be the first to apply when you're brand new. I'm still the first to apply. I still have alerts set for where I want to house sit, and I have reviews. So you're competing with other house sitters. So be first, have a wonderful letter of reference, and then don't be afraid to look for local house sits. A local person is going to be more likely to take somebody who's new to house sitting, right? Because at least they don't have to worry about, are they going to make their flight? You know, Don't be afraid. If you live in a metropolitan area in the U.S., you can probably find local house sits. Atlanta, the New York area, of course, Washington, D.C., the Bay Area, Southern California, a good portion of Texas, New Orleans even. I see good amounts of houses in New Orleans, all over Florida. I'm just naming places, Chicago. So I'm naming, the U.S., metropolitan areas. Look for local house sits and apply for those as well. Set alerts for those as well. Get that first review, and then it's much easier. But don't let the rejection. I saw you say that you're not giving up. Don't give up. Keep going, because you just need that one person to give you a yes, and then the world is open up to you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for your question, PYT. And I would like to add my voice to encourage you to keep going. Yes. Let's see. Marieli says, I love listening to this. Thank you so much for this fresh perspective. Thank you for listening. Let me see. This is, okay, here's a good one. Channel coming soon. You definitely inspire me to make my plan to save my coins and take a break overseas. That is awesome. Let's see, Vina. She said she thought it was a virtual background too.
No, I'm here. Listen, there are dogs here, so I'm house sitting 4 dogs, and usually one of the dogs is on the sofa. You can usually see her. So if we stick around a little longer, you'll see them. I'm here. We in here.
Wow. Someone asked, where in Mexico would you recommend? Let me see if I can find that. I can't find it, but I remember seeing it. Where in Mexico would you recommend staying?
Well,
cities.
This is the list. I'm gonna run down a whole lot of places in Mexico. So at the end, you're gonna be like, you could have just said the whole country. So I'm gonna tell you the whole country. Mexico City is a world-class city. People who love city life love Mexico City. All right. I'm not a city girl. But if you're into city stuff, Marie, give Mexico City a look. I happen to house sit in places that are very popular with American and Canadian retirees, right? Americans and Canadians retire down to Mexico, and then they want to come back to the US or Canada for long periods of time to visit family and travel and stuff. They bring in a house sitter. So I spend a lot of time in Lake Chapala, Mexico. Lake Chapala is the largest lake in Mexico, and that area is popular with Americans and Canadian retirees. And I spend a lot of time in San Miguel de Allende, or sometime in San Miguel de Allende, also a popular retiree place. So if you're looking to go to a place in Mexico and find a lot of conveniences, like everyone speaks English, right? Those are options. Mm-hmm. But don't forget about and then Merida, Mexico is also popular with Canadian and American retirees. So those are places where you can stay there, on a decent budget, and have some conveniences. But my favorite parts are parts that are not as retiree and tourist popular. Guanajuato, the entire state of Guanajuato is a wonderful part of Mexico where you can feel like you're in Mexico, right? Some people, you'll see men horseback, right? You're going to walk around and it's, it's just,
how is your Spanish? Practican de español.
What do I always tell people? I know all the food words. I can't even say that in Spanish, right? I can order food. That's about it. My Spanish is not very good. And even when I go to parts of Mexico where there's not a lot of English, right? We're in Mexico, and I still manage, right? We're gonna Google Translate some things. I'm gonna point, and they're gonna just, figure it out.
That's good. No, that's good because that proves that you don't have to allow the language barrier to be a barrier for between you and exploring this beautiful world that we live in. So I applaud you for that. And I'm just so excited that we have been able to have this conversation and that you can see from the comments that you have inspired so many. I mean, the comments are still coming in. Hello, Andre. Hello, all of you, Vina, everybody, Tawana. And it has just been so refreshing and affirming for me and others, because I think I'm about to take a sabbatical, y'all. I think I'm going to take a little break as we go into this next phase of life. And I'm going to try to not work. But when I initially thought of the sabbatical, I said, well, maybe I can finally work on the documentary that I wanted to work on or write the second book. But that's not a sabbatical. That's not a sabbatical.
That's not. Once you take this break, you will come into this documentary project with fire. You will come into it with new, fresh ideas. You'll come into it with the energy to actually finish it, right? But give yourself a break where you don't have time dedicated to work. It's possible. You can do it. You can make this shift. Give yourself it can be, give a finite period of time. And like you said, it doesn't have to be a year, but give yourself time when you are not committing to any work during this time. It will make what you do after the sabbatical so much better.
Okay. I'm going to try it. It may just be 2 weeks now because I don't know, but 2 weeks is still.
Start with 2 weeks. The next time, tell yourself you're going to take 4 weeks, right? And then the next time you're going to take 3 months. It's okay to do it like that. Build it like that.
Okay. All right. I can.
Yeah. If it's a struggle for you to commit to a long period of time, commit to what you can, and then know that this isn't the last one. This isn't the last break that you'll take.
Love that. Love that. This is not the last one. You don't only have to take one sabbatical, ladies.
They're addictive. They are addictive.
I can tell because you just look like you got a whole vibe, you a whole mood, Stephanie. I love it. So how can people connect with you, Stephanie?
I have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Stephanie Perry. This is where I'm putting out the most consistent and most helpful information. So check me out on YouTube. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Vicarious, but I don't know. They're not the best. Okay, so you're going to find helpful info on YouTube. I have a new house sitter toolkit. So if anybody here was listening and you're like, how do I get started? I have a new house sitter toolkit at vicarious.com/housesit. Vicarious.com/housesit. It's just the links to like the house sitting service that I use, which is Trusted House Sitters. There's the actual letter that I send to get booked. Some things that I use to enjoy, to be comfortable in a house sit. So you can get that toolkit so that you can get started. Like it's a real thing and it's for you. It's not just for like 21-year-old Australian surfers. You can house sit too. I'm a witness. Marie James says, I always look so refreshed. I call it the no job glow, right? I call it the no job glow because no matter what's going on in the day, at least I don't have to go to work, right?
The no job glow. I want some of that. Last question. So for families, for people who have children, they're married, is this not a thing for them? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Families do it too. Take a family sabbatical. Families can house sit, first of all, which, right? That's strange, but it's awesome. This is a house for a family of 5, right? They went on vacation. They would have gladly accepted a family as house sitters, because why not, right? Families house sit. But yes, families take sabbaticals. Now that we know that our kids can go to school from a laptop, the world is yours. Pick a place and go. Some people even choose not to school their kids during a sabbatical. You do what you want. You're in charge, right? If you feel like the American school system is not doing your kids justice anyway, maybe you don't care about taking a sabbatical or, doing schooling, what they call unschooling or world schooling. But if you do, your school very well may be perfectly fine with you being wherever in the world. Your kid being wherever in the world. They're going to need to stay on that school schedule for time zone purposes. So you may want to look for other alternatives, but there are other alternatives. There are state schools that are all online, 100% online in the US. And then there are other world schooling options. So yes, families do it. Don't let the fact that I'm traveling with just me and my suitcase dissuade you. Families do it, and they do it on a surprisingly small budget. I talked to a family on my own channel, a family of 4. They had a 13-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they spent $1,600 a month in Asia. I know. They went to Thailand and Vietnam and Cambodia and the Philippines and Malaysia. The regular, Southeast Asia is very popular among digital nomads. And they were spending $1,600 a month.
For accommodations and everything.
Everything. Accommodation, transportation, food, fun stuff, everything. I know. Yeah, you can do it.
That's it right there. What's your next stop after you leave Florida?
I have a house sit in Asheville, North Carolina. I've never been there. So I'm house sitting in North Carolina. And then I don't have any plans for the fall. So I'm open. That's a thing about house sitting. When something good pops up, I apply for it. And if they take me, then I go there. So I'm open for the fall.
Make sure you get your way down here to Puerto Rico. If you love Mexico, you'll super, super love Puerto Rico.
I know. I've never been. So years ago, some friends and I were planning a trip to Puerto Rico, and they all backed out. And I shared a Facebook post about it. And every year on the anniversary, I see that post, and I'm reminded that I've never still been to Puerto Rico. What am I doing? I'm doing it wrong. I got to get there.
Gotta get here. You'll love it.
I know I will.
Yes. Thank you so much, Stephanie. This has been such a pleasure to have you, and so refreshing and so inspiring. I will keep you posted. I'll let you know when I make my mind up to do this 2 weeks, and everybody go and get the toolkit, get the resources that Stephanie is offering. If you want that no work glow, honey, go and get it now. She's at Stephanie Perry on YouTube, and Vicarious.com is the website. Ooh, Stephanie, share some last final words while I put your website up on the screen.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on here. This was so much fun. I love talking this talk, but it was so much fun to talk with you and to talk with all you guys who are commenting and leaving your comments. I appreciate that. My final words are that you deserve free time. You don't have to earn rest, right? The nap ministry is a real ministry out there telling us that we don't need to earn rest. I second that, right? I second that. You don't have to feel like you have to earn time off, earn rest, earn free time. Take it, use it, and then come back stronger. You may come back to your thing. You may absolutely find that the thing that you thought was important to you is no longer important to you after you've had some free time to just be. Yes. You may find that these things are no longer important. But one more time, I want to tell you that the idea that your value is tied into what you do, that's false. That's false. It's not true. It's not true. If you think that way, if you feel like your value is tied into your work, if your value is tied into something that you do, something that you produce, I hope that you will take some free time and learn how valuable you are without those things. You don't need any external things to be valuable, to be treated well, to be treated with respect, to be treated with loving kindness. Do that for yourself so that other people will then know that that's the deal. Yeah. And
let the church say amen to that. Amen. Straight up make me run across this room with that. That's a whole word and sermon. Yes. Stephanie. So thank you so much. Vicarious.com is the website. Stephanie Perry on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your summer. And everybody, listen, I don't know about you, I have been set free. I see so many of you still commenting. Mary Ellie, one sabbatical a year, and you're taking 3 weeks in November. Yay, you. Let's stay connected on LinkedIn because I'd love to hear how yours goes. I think mine will probably be end of September-ish into October, so I'll let you know. And then someone on Facebook says I'm going to start with 2 weeks as well. So you're going to ease into it just like me. That's great. And also, Vina, thank you so much. Vina says I have a child in elementary school, and so she's offering to answer any questions about schooling abroad for anyone who needs it. And Vina is watching us on YouTube. And Vina, if you wouldn't mind in the comments, just leaving I don't know, your YouTube channel or inbox information just in case anybody needs that. Thank you all so much for watching Sisternomics today. This has been a little bit of a different topic, but I believe that our health is our wealth. And again, Sisternomics is about creating the type of economy that is based on your own terms. And so that includes creating a work life that fits the person that you are today, and not this American culture that has told us this big lie that we have to work our fingers to the bone, because that is not the case. There's so much more for us to do, see, experience. And I'm glad that Stephanie was able to bring us some new ideas and share some of her own experiences here as well. So thank you for listening. My name is Monique Carradine Kitchens, and this is Sisternomics. I'll see you back here next time. Take care.